Hello, everyone. Welcome to Progressive HR Live. I'm your host, Corinne Whippen-Hollowbeck, founder of Progressive HR and co-founder of the Progressive HR Brand Partnerships Network. Our live today is Rethinking Creative Partnerships. Most companies have it backwards. And we're talking with Mike Fleck, the go-to-market strategist and founder at MAP, Market Access Partners, and also a Progressive HR Brand Partnerships Network strategic advisor of ecosystem growth. How are you today, Mike?
I'm doing great. Am I coming through okay?
Yes, you are. You're coming through fantastic. Where are you streaming from today?
Terrific. I am streaming from an Airbnb, lovely decorated Airbnb in Lakewood, Colorado. We are here visiting our daughter and son-in-law and our brand new grandson, Reeves. So born 2 weeks ago on Easter Sunday. So super excited to be joining the call today.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right, audience, let us know who you are, where you're streaming from, and our icebreaker today is, what are you doing for Earth Day? So happy Earth Day, everyone. I know some people are like, oh, it's Earth Day? But it is Wednesday, April 22nd, and Earth Day. So Mike, what are you doing for Earth Day?
Wow, I'm going to go see my grandson and help do meal prep and make sure that our kids have what they need to deal with life with a brand new 2-year-old or 2-week-old. Sorry, 2-week-old.
Oh, I remember those times. Oh my goodness. The little feet. It's the little feet that get me so much.
I know. Yeah. And the little hands.
The little hands and the little nose. Well, we are very busy really like revamping our whole landscaping for Earth Day. So we decided that this is going to be the start of something for us where we're planting hummingbird gardens and monarch gardens, and we're going to be refurbishing, or not, it's not called refurbishing, it's resurrecting prairies. So that is our plans for Earth Day. Going to the comments to see who our audience is right now. So Marnie Robinson's joining us. Now Marnie is in transit right now, so she doesn't have this very specific place about where she's joining us from. And then Rob's joining us from Sanford, Florida. Rob, what are you doing for Earth Day today? And Marnie says, happy Earth Day. I'll toast it to the happy hour I'm going to later.
It's a perfect way, as long as it's in a reusable cup.
Oh, excellent. Okay, so if you have not already introduced yourself, go ahead and introduce yourself in the comments. We're going to start our questions soon with Mike here, but this is your live. So if you have questions for Mike or have questions for me on the conversation we're having, go ahead and pop those in the comments. We'll answer your questions in the flow of this conversation as well. If you have any comments as you are talking with us, go ahead and pop those in the comments as well, or any discussion you have, and we'll show that live on screen. So let's start with our questions. Let's start with a nod to the title of this conversation, Rethinking Creative Partnerships. Most companies have it backwards. So what's the big picture here, and why do most companies have it backwards?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I spent most of my career in the world of startups and helping organizations grow and expand and achieve what their goals are in the market. And what I learned doing that, and I kind of come at partnerships from that perspective, right? So it's a little backwards. And what I learned in doing all of that was that there really is no better, faster, more effective way to grow your business than to find people who will evangelize on your behalf. And so what I learned later in my career as I got into larger organizations, a lot of organizations think of those as channel partners or channels. And when I say they have it backwards, and the reason that I think many organizations have it backwards is because in so many companies, channels or partners are really a bolt-on to the core, what is essentially the core revenue model, which is direct to market growth. And frankly, I think that's backwards. I think the channel, finding trusted partners in the ecosystem who are trusted by the potential buyers that you're going to be looking for is absolutely should be your number one priority in figuring out how you want to go to market.
Yeah, and especially with how our world is changing right now. I mean, you pull up the news every day, and everything is a new feature, or everything is like AI this, and I mean, not that I'm against AI, because I'm totally for AI, but I'm not against
Yeah.
AI. AI washing is what they're calling it
Yeah.
now. So
Well,
it's
when all
really,
birds, when all birds switch to AI, you know that something is
oh my
amiss
God.
in the
Oh my
entire
God.
mix, right? So
Yeah. I think that'll go down in the history books.
I suspect we shall see.
So Rob answered my question here. Rob is reducing his carbon footprint due to a foot injury. Oh
Keep
my
those
goodness.
feet up, Rob.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, okay. So when we're talking about partnerships, maybe we should kind of delve into some definitions here. So the world of partnerships is very vast,
Hmm.
as I've been discovering over the course of the last 8 years that I'm just a baby in this industry, right? So
Yeah.
it's very vast. So what are the types of partnerships that are most prevalent, and what does that mean, and where are the new partnerships coming from?
Yeah, I'm actually going to flip that just a little bit and start definitionally from my perspective, right? So I think when many people think of partnerships, they think of the financial relationship between an organization and their, quote unquote partners, the folks that are out there in the market. And that is an aspect, or can be an aspect, but it is not necessarily an aspect of how you would work together with people who are out in the market and not your employees. And the way that I like to think about it really is more alliances, right? I think in terms of alliances, and there are many alliances, there are many relationships that we have in the market that are not financial. So I would call it the difference between dollars and choice. And choice is, hey, I'm choosing to work with this partner, and the partner is choosing to work with this vendor because it's mutually beneficial, and because we see the same things and we're serving the same market. And so, you know, within those constructs, there are many different ways to get to market through them. And there's a lot of structure that is formally built, but I think it's really important first to get your mind right around who are the people that you want to work with and why, and what are you trying to do. And so one of the things that we do, for example, within MAP is start with diagnostics. Who are you going after? What are you trying to get done? Why are those partners important? Let's ask the second and third level questions, for example, around who are other partners, or who are other people that might be in this ecosystem that that have trusted relationships with the buyers that we're seeking, and can we engage with them and interact with them for our mutual benefit. But that last piece is the important bit, right? It is
Right.
for our mutual benefit, not for my benefit as a vendor or your benefit as a partner. It's for our mutual benefit to succeed.
Yeah. And sometimes money comes into play there, right?
Of course. Yeah, right. That's okay. Money is a really good placeholder for benefit, right? It
Hmm.
makes sense to have it there. And it's when you restrict the thinking just to the financial ramifications that I think you begin to lose, you begin to narrow your view of what your approach can be, and that limits your options in the market.
Yeah. And then within alliances, AKA partnerships, there's a number of different partnerships. You can partner with other companies, you can partner with other verticals, you can partner with creators, you can partner with influencers, you can partner with influencer creators. I mean, you can partner, it's just so vast.
That's right. Yeah, and it's really been fun for me, for example, the work that we're doing in the brand partner network, because it's kind of my first exposure to the entire universe of the creator world, and how they, even though you might consider me to some degree a creator, I'm not a full creator, but I'm out there putting myself out in the wind, um, and the benefit and value that that group has for organizations, right? They're a trusted voice, and the key thing, that one thing that's really important when you think about engaging those types of relationships where the alliances that you're looking for have a, a, a built-in trust mechanism already with the ecosystem you want. You have to have a great product. So
Mhm.
it starts with, right, if you don't have a good product, then you're probably going to have to pay people to sell it, and you're going to have to figure that out. If you do have a good product, and so for everybody on this call, they probably all have great products. If you do have a great product, then all you have to do is find people, and they will naturally evangelize it for you or with you, because they're in the business of serving the same clientele.
Mhm. And if you don't have a good product, you can still partner with somebody for advisory to make it a good product potentially.
To help you improve your product.
Mhm.
Right?
Exactly.
We do that as well, right? So it's the same kind of motion. Yeah.
So going to our audience now, we've got a few comments. Kristen agreed. The mutual benefit is critical to define the beginning of the conversation. Absolutely. Absolutely. And then Pauline is joining us, and Pauline says from Atlanta, Georgia, working as a director of marketing in a startup, but now taking on more of a partnership role. So looking for some insight. Okay. So Pauline, if you have any questions on what we're talking about, please go ahead and add those to the comments, and we'd be happy to work in your questions. Okay. So back to our questions here. We're talking about partnerships. And so specifically between vendors and creators at this point, you have two sides of the partnership. And I suppose this could, lend itself to other types of partnerships as well. So on one side, we have the vendor motion, and the GTM is get as many creators, influencers, ambassadors to talk about the product during launch or during a campaign motion, and it's rapid, and it's like, hey, just anyone. It gets to a point where it's like, just anyone talk about us because we need this exposure, or we're happy to have whomever just write about us. And oh, by the way, here we're going to give you the script.
Yeah, boom. That was the goodbye. Yeah. Okay, I love that, because there's a good follow-up to that.
Yeah, and we're only offering a rough fee of $300, and we'll pay you after. We'll pay you like a month later, and potentially there's potential to earn more money, but it really depends upon how much you produce for us. Well, what is produce? So that's one side of the coin. And they're really just throwing a B2C model that is working, for like the fashion companies, or for the makeup industry, or Allbirds, for example, the shoes. And they're throwing this B2C model at professionals who they've built a following, they've built trust, they've built credibility, and for someone to give them $300 to give them a script to had none of their POV on it, it's just really not aligned. So what is we're talking about, why is it not aligned? What's happening here? Why is this all changing?
Oh, there's so much to tease out of that, Kareen. So the first thing I would say is the presumption that we have all the answers, right? So we talked in the beginning about making the product better, right? So one of the real benefits of engaging with creators, and creators are creators because they've been at this for a very long time. They have a lot of institutional knowledge within whatever sphere that they're speaking about. And they have points of view, and they have ideas, and they have thoughts that you can benefit from as a vendor if you allow yourself to benefit from them. And so Kristen said that the mutual benefit is critical in the beginning to define, and really, when you're thinking about it from a vendor's perspective, clearly you've done a lot of brand research, what you think your market is and all this other stuff. But the real value of engaging with creators, or engaging with alliances, or engaging with folks, even paid partners, right, is allowing them to help make you better, and to help make your message better, and to help buyers see you better, right? And so, and often that's hard to do. Often we approach it from a position of control. I want to control the message. I want to control the meta message, right? Well, I'm sorry, you don't control any of that stuff. In today's world, the message is controlled by the market, essentially, right? And so you have to allow the market to make that message strong.
Mhm. So we can take an example of, let's say, Target. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I mean, we're B2C here, but taking an example of Target and some of their folly around Pride Month.
Oh,
Um,
I'm not familiar, so I'm not a big newsie. So maybe you'll have to enlighten me. We'll see.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay, we can go back to the example of Allbirds as well. So, you know, they started down this path of, you know, unicorn status almost for a sneaker company. And then because the world pivoted, they decided to pivot as well. And they didn't engage their periphery alliances and pivoted in a way that doesn't make sense for people.
Oh, I don't know if I can say this out loud, but you know, I'm very cynical about this move. I think there are, by the way, examples of similar motions in the history of business, and all of them are the same, and they're specifically designed to enrich the investors
Mm-hmm.
at the expense of the market. And that's what I think Allbirds is doing. They don't even have a product. They said they're going to think about buying a product that is no longer a sneaker. Like, I don't even know. Okay.
They're considering the potential of thinking about
They're considering the potential of buying AI servers. Okay, but you can't even get them right now. NVIDIA's backlogged 6 months or something like that. So how can you be worth
years.
more? Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Um, years. Yeah, see, there you go. Anyway, so
We might be
I'll
getting
tell you.
down.
Yeah,
Go
yeah.
ahead.
So there's actually something that came to mind as I was prepping for this call, and I think, you know, everybody in this universe probably knows who Dave Duffield is, and knows who PeopleSoft is or was, and Workday is or was. And one of the things, and I had the good fortune of starting our business in Northern California. Dave Duffield started PeopleSoft about the same time we started our first company. He was in the area, knew of the startup, had friends who worked there. One of the things that I thought he did brilliantly well, both in the PeopleSoft iteration and in the Workday iteration, was his go-to-market motion. Almost exclusively in the beginning was through and with partners. He reached out to organizations who were in the universe, showed them what he had and could bring to their clients, and allowed them to build a business on top of his platform. Salesforce.com did very much the same thing. Still have, yeah, I mean, you're always going to have direct clients. You should, right? You should be, because we're not touching everybody. But I think that strategy in and of itself, my position in being the you know, analyzing the business, that strategy in and of itself is what made PeopleSoft, aside from the fact that, you know, quote unquote, Uncle Dave was, you know, everybody's best friend and you couldn't fail buying from him. So.
Yeah. And now, see, like, I didn't know that. Like, I
Yeah.
considered myself to be pretty, you know, into the tech world, but see, I did not know that. So
Yeah.
I appreciate the example.
Sure.
So I think I've gotten us down a little bit of a rabbit hole, and I'm
Okay.
gonna come
Right.
back
Yep.
to our
Rabbit holes are
question.
sometimes my specialty. Sorry, we will recover from that.
So we've talked before about my POV on the 3 bad habits vendors have around partnerships, and we mentioned some of those before. And you know, you and I, when we were talking this week, when we were prepping for this call, we added a 4th one. But so we see so many of these motions when vendors are thinking about a go to market motion with a partner, or a partnership, looking at partnerships, looking at ways to get exposure. And
Right.
one, they hire a partnership person with no autonomy and no authority.
Yeah.
Just basically, you know, send messages, build this community. 2, they really have a disregard for, I wouldn't say disregard. I was looking for a better word here,
Yeah.
but lack of awareness of the business model that creators have. So if you're going
Mm-hmm.
into a partnership motion and you're going into a partnership motion with a creator, it's very different than an influencer.
Mm-hmm.
And in general, having an awareness of the business models that your potential partners have.
That's the
And
diagnostic, right? That's what we were talking
that's
about before,
diagnostic.
right? Making sure that you understand. Yep.
Yeah. And it's okay to go in asking questions.
Yeah.
It's just different if you go in saying, this is what we want. We want you to help us, but this is what we're going to have you do. That's very different.
Right.
That's, again, trying to control. And then third, this internal attribution assessment. So let's talk more about those 3 bad habits and what do you think about that?
Sure. I think one of the things that often happens is organizations begin by hiring the CRO level role, and most CRO level chief revenue officer, for those of us on the call, I hate using acronyms without defining them. Most of the people who are very good in those roles come out of generally a direct selling environment and a direct selling mindset, and so that's they're biased, they're predisposed to this as a strategy for how we're going to go to market. And so I think then, and to your point, perhaps don't fully understand how to activate and what the benefit is of the partnership market, right? A lot of times the perception is I lose control by going this direction, and I gain control by having direct conversations with my clients. And some of that is true, some of that is untrue, right? So I think it somewhat begins there. And so because you don't know it, you really don't even know what we talked in the very first one is autonomy or authority. You don't know who to hire. You don't know how to let them run. You don't know how to do any of those things, right? So that's the difficult part. And often what that becomes is really partners are there to introduce me to prospects, right? And that is a one-sided relationship. That is, here's the message I want you to take to market, and your job is to introduce me to prospects. Well, broadly speaking, that's what you hope to get out of all of this, right? If we think of this from a really high level perspective, running a business, you want the business to grow and grow through that. But the idea that their primary mission is to introduce you to prospects is off-putting and self-limiting, right? I think that the third that you mentioned is, when you start dealing, and what that leads to is this attribution problem, because now what you're trying to do inside an organization is figure out who gets credit for what happened in the course of a transaction. And you get so focused on the credit and the attribution that you lose sight of what you're all trying to do, right? So what you've done is you've subjugated your go-to-market strategy to your internal compensation and P&L strategy, when it should be the other way around. And that's where I think, and then what happens when you do that, I call it the Henry Ford effect, right? You start to focus on individual pieces of the process and how to optimize those individual pieces. Really important to be able to do that as long as you have the full context of what the end result is. But if you are simply focused on the individual elements of this, what you will end up with is either suboptimal or not working. And you see it often enough where organizations say, you know what, partnership programs didn't work, we're just going to cut them out.
Yeah. And the reality of the situation is that you're only reaching 5% of your buyers,
right?
And most people don't decide they're going to buy from you unless you have, I don't know, 6 months down the line or 7, or even a year down the line. How can you attribute emotion to that if you're not going to be continuously measuring it for anywhere like 6 to 12 months to 24 months?
Well, that's a great point, right? So, and it's what we've been talking about even in the brand partner network, and that is only a small fraction of your potential buyers are in the market actively at any given point in time. So the really important thing you need to do is be top of mind when those buyers are ready. So create an environment that allows those buyers to know who you are and kind of pre-trust you when they're ready and get into that mode. in part, that's what marketing is intended to do, which is why often partnerships fall under the marketing umbrella. And so, Pauline, I mean, that's a very common motion. But I think it extends beyond just the, marketing often gets just branding, right? And me telling you how good I am is much less valuable than somebody else on the side that I didn't even know was saying it, telling you how good I am at doing it. So.
And I think where people get caught up, and this is a big difference between creators and influencers, is that you pay. Got a friend
Yeah,
there.
that's my watch. I don't know why. She decided to talk to me at that exact moment. Siri has her own mind. It's welcome to the world of AI.
You pay an influencer for exposure, but you partner with a creator.
Yeah.
On just that. It's a partnership.
Right.
So you partner with a creator for their point of view on what you're doing, and for them to create something, create any type of format, video, whatever, on what you're doing and how much they love or I think that you don't have to have a creator always say, I love this product. I think you can have a creator say, I really like this product and here's where I see it potentially be going, and having kind of like an analyst view, but you're partnering with a creator to put the best and the worst and all such that out there, so you build in public and people trust you.
Sure. Yeah. And you know what? They are not, they're not, they're not one at the expense of the other, right? They're mutually benefit. They're self-reinforcing. So you should be doing branding, and you should be doing marketing, and you should be working with creators who understand and have a different message, and analysts and influencers and all of these various folks when you start thinking about your go-to-market strategy. And really the importance is that you have this holistic vision of what that ecosystem does and can do for you, and how how you are going to work within it to help it thrive.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit more about your philosophy on partnerships as a holistic system.
Yeah. So, when we were talking about this the other day, the thing that popped into my head, because I'm working on it right now, is golf. And I'm an avid golfer. I think for any of you out there who are avid but not very good golfers, welcome to the club. And what what that means is, right, oftentimes you get the instruction you get focuses you on like one or two things. Oh, you should be doing this with your hands, and you should be doing this with it. When in reality, it is this complete system. This body moves in reaction to other things. And so the whole thing has to go together. When I think about the partner ecosystem, it is not that I would say you should only be working with partners and you shouldn't be contacting employers directly. That is what I'm saying is, in the modern go-to-market mechanism, it is very often skewed away from the partner ecosystem, and the entire universe is starting to shift into an environment where the partners and the trust transference that you might get from those partners has significantly more value than what you're going to get directly. Look, I mean, I've talked to lots of folks at senior levels. They won't even take phone calls unless somebody recommends that they talk to somebody. And, we have lots of statistics, and you and I have talked through this before, where, 60, 70% of the research by potential buyers is already done long before they are interacting with any individual or set of vendors that they're going to work with. And that research is coming from reading what creators are saying, and reading what analysts are saying, and reading what influencers are saying, and talking to friends in the industry and gathering as much information and data as they can before they go into a call. That the days of trusting a vendor's marketing materials are long gone.
Yeah. Marketing and sales too as well.
Yeah.
So
right.
yeah. And I'm not saying that there's not a purpose. I think again, going back to the holistic system, is everyone has a part to play.
Well, and there's totally a purpose, right? So the purpose for them is to help you see the value that they see and why they've built what they built. So if I'm thinking about it from a builder's perspective, I've built this for a particular reason and to serve a particular purpose and to deliver value in a particular way based on the mindset that I have, right? And I want to communicate, and I'd really like to persuade you that has value. But my persuasion will be limited if I limit it to just me talking to you rather than having this whole universe to say, hey, really, you should think about working with them. So
I like that. The whole universe saying that you should think about this.
yeah.
So as we're wrapping up here in the last 15 minutes, what can organizations do differently? And what are the future of creator partnerships in business?
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm probably older than many of the people on this call, but I don't know how many people remember the TV show House. So House was a doctor, and his primary mission was diagnosing difficult patients, right, that other people would treat. And so I think of it that way, right? I think often what happens is organizations will look at their strategy and they will come up with a plan for how to do the go-to-market strategy that they want to deliver, and they'll generally only ask first or second order questions, or often you will hire people who have some experience or some level of experience in doing this, and that person will come in with a motion that they've done successfully in another. I worked for a startup very early in my career, and the founder had been very successful in sending out postcards to people that suddenly made the bit, well, okay, great. I'm glad it worked for you there. And maybe it works as part of a strategy, but it's not the core strategy and how to do this, right? So I think I think the first order of business is getting more diagnostic, right? Going deep on what do my clients really want? Who are the people that they listen to when they're out there talking in the market? What are the things that they read? Why? Where do we fit within that environment? Can I engage some of those people to ask them questions about what they think of our value message and how we're going to market, and maybe they can help make us better and they can help make the product better. And so I think often, and a lot of times that's pressure driven, right? I mean, look, businesses are in business to grow, and the pressure for growth has never been stronger. And the workload on people within organizations has never been heavier, especially in sales and marketing organizations. And so taking a moment to step back and slow down and try to understand the foundations and do the diagnostic part of this, it is often really, really, really hard to do, right? Especially when you're pushing up against people who are already convinced of their own rightness. That's the other challenge sometimes you face, right? So
Yeah. And there is a lot. I mean, there's more noise out here now than there ever was.
yeah.
And I also think that it's harder to what's the words I'm looking for? It's harder to focus in, or ultimately it's hard. It's going to be hard, especially in the next 2 years, to capture someone's attention long term.
Yeah. And you and I have had this conversation. AI to some degree has caused that, right?
Oh, 100. Yeah,
There's so
absolutely.
much fake stuff out there that is meant to look real. Like, how do you pull that? So like, my Facebook feed, all I want to do is see my grandchild, and all I'm getting now are advertisements for Tai Chi walking. Like, what the heck is Tai Chi walking? I don't even know what that is, right? So and it's all, you can look at it and you say, that is not a real human. That is an AI doing this thing, right? And if I've been working with Claude and ChatGPT for 2 years now, just as a mechanism to understand the market and how they work and how the tools work. And they're really, really, really limited and pretty obvious when you run across them. And so what buyers are just starting to do now is just put a shell on and say, Jiminy Christmas, nothing is real out there. How do I figure out what to do? And that's really where having people who are known, right, trusted creators, for example, who who have come up through the market, who know from experience, who have been in the trenches where these buyers are looking and living. That's who they're turning to, because their voice is real,
Mm-hmm.
and they know their voice is real.
Yeah. And creators don't use a lot. They use some AI, but they don't use a lot of AI when it comes to their creation.
Well, you shouldn't be. Yeah, right. You use it as an idea generator or other things, or like teasing out study. Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because creator IP and creator proprietary information is going to be really key as we move into the next few
For
years.
sure. Yeah.
Because again, I think I read an article yesterday is about how all business communications are becoming very flat because everyone is using AI for
Yeah.
those communications. So anyone who doesn't have a flat tone is going to get the attention.
Well, so that's fascinating. So I can't remember what I watched. I heard an echo there. Hopefully I'm coming through okay.
Yeah.
And the conversation was about exactly that. And if you think about what AI does, especially we're talking LLMs, large language models, do, is they have the entire universe of information at their fingertips, good and bad. And there's a lot of bad out there. And so what they do is they write to the mean. And so when you talk about flattening the voice, that's exactly what happens. It all comes out sounding the same. In fact, there was an article in the Wall Street Journal the other day that talked about they'd done a review of annual reports of public companies and how much they're all starting to sound exactly the same and use the exact same words because they're being written by AI. So I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Someone could be like, there's an M dash, it's AI. Don't listen to it.
Yeah, the M dash will be gone forever. I think nobody's ever going to put it in, even if it's appropriate in certain scenarios, because it's a dead giveaway, right? So,
I see a comment, and this is from Rob, and this is back on our conversation about House. And Rob says, "You're not that much older."
I saw that too. Yeah, thank you, Rob. I appreciate the moral support always.
I can say that I used to watch House on rewinds.
Yeah.
And then Fidel, thank you always, humbled, always learning, always my mind open and learn new ideas. I'm learning so much from both of you. Thank you, Fidel. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Fidel. Yeah.
So as we're closing here, we've got another 5-ish minutes. So audiences, if there's any more questions or comments, is now the time to ask. From our conversation, Mike, what are your two very clear takeaways for the audience?
I'm going to piggyback on Fidel's response, and that is, and this is just a philosophical underpinning of how I approach the world, and that is always be learning. The hubris of imagining that you know all the answers is just that, it's hubris. And so be open to the opportunities that might come out of left field. What I can tell you in my career is conversations and things that I've worked on that I thought would have absolutely zero value have turned out to be some of the most valuable and important things that I've ever done. And so if you keep your mind open to those things, and in the universe of partnering, that means having those conversations with your partners, understanding how they're thinking about going to market, and inviting them into your circle and worldview to help you get better. And then the second, really, because it's a passion of mine, is spend an inordinate amount of time on the diagnostic side, and always be thinking about, when you're uncovering problems, or even when things are going well, what are the root causes of this? What are the symptoms that I'm seeing and what conclusions can I derive from those symptoms? I would say, not everybody here knows, we don't talk about it. I started my career as an officer in the Navy, and in the military, we always had what were called after action reports. And those were opportunities for everybody to get together and say, what went well, what didn't go well, what did we learn, and how do we continue to move? And that has influenced my life for the rest of my career. And I think it's a really valuable construct for anybody to take in, whether you're talking partners or business or your own personal life. There you go. You have Yoda philosophy 101 at the end of the thing.
So audience, number one, think about a holistic growth map, per mic, and think about who does that include, and where can you build awareness and where can you partner? And then two, start looking at a diagnostic framework. And then these are both things that MAP market access partners help you with. So thank you, Mike. Yeah, we have a quick comment, question from Jim. I take this both as a question and comment. Jim says, it's interesting how many companies are laying off employees in the numbers they are, and seeing HCM companies pulling back from partners at the same time. And then in addition to that, there will have to be a bounce back correction and maybe a challenge to re-engage those partners.
I think you're absolutely right, Jim. You and I have been at this a long time, and I couldn't agree more. And I think part of that is hubris, and part of that is an error in execution and understanding, and part of it may be just a cynical opportunity to cut costs and try to find revenue in whatever way they can, right? There's a lot going on there. So
Rob adds, good point, Jim. Or the partner motions are interesting, as many want the activity and the access, but not willing to do the work or create the tools that are valuable to the partners that are being targeted.
Yeah.
Yes. And they have it backwards, right?
They have it backwards?
They have it backwards. And part of this conversation is a call to saying, hey, you have it backwards. Let's see where you can, create a better system, for everyone that's involved.
Yeah.
In a point to what Jim was saying about, what you and Jim were saying about AI, a lot of companies still just don't understand how fast this is moving. And
yeah,
and saying we're laying off people because of AI, it might be the right thing. They feel the right thing to say at the time. And I'm pretty sure that's what they think that they're doing. But as someone who has studied the space for a very long time, that thinking is already being disrupted completely. And they really need more humans than they do necessarily, to Rob's point and to Jim's point about laying off the partners. You need humans. You need that brain, that mind map, that minds. I'm talking.
No, and you need humans with some level of experience and expertise who can challenge the AI when it comes up with totally imaginary things to do, right? And so I would tell you, in my own universe, there is no doubt the value of AI is very high. But what it's done is not replaced me. It's made me better at what I do, and it's helped me churn through lots of garbage and try to get at real answers faster than I might otherwise, right? So it can take what would have been a 2-day summit in a boardroom with a whiteboard trying to sort things out and compress that down into a handful of hours, because you can have that interaction, and you can do that with multiple people. But the pushback sometimes is, it's like having a conversation with a college intern, right? Like, you don't know anything about this business. How can you tell me that this is what we should be doing? So,
yeah, I don't, for everybody that's using AI, I don't necessarily think that we're always using AI for the things that we should be using AI for.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then that shows up in content slop, in flat business communications, in, non-differentiated business models. So we're just going to
trust me, it's not smarter than you are. It's just faster than you are. It's just not, it's not smart.
There you go. It doesn't.
It's much dumber.
It's vanilla, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Vanilla missing the sprinkles on top. The humans are the sprinkles. Yeah.
You've made my oldest grandson's day by putting sprinkles on top. He'd be super happy.
One last comment and then we'll close for today. Jim says AI cannot be relied on to make decisions where accountability needs to be enforced. AI can't be held accountable.
Yeah, spot on, Jim.
Yep.
Bingo.
Well, at least not right
That's for
now.
sure.
So
We'll see.
we'll see. We'll see.
I'm a contrarian by nature, if you haven't figured that out yet. So we'll see.
I'm in the camp where I think we'll potentially get to AGI. Do I thinking it's coming in 2 years? I don't think so, but I think there is a potential. Yeah. But it's okay to disagree, right?
Yeah, we'll see. I've been wrong before. So.
All right, everybody. Thank you for joining the stream today. Mike, thank you for joining me in this conversation.
Of course, thank you, Corinne. Thanks, everyone, for joining.
Yeah. Any last comments, Mike, before we close?
No, it's been a lot of fun. Thank you. My first one, so super fun.
Okay. Well, we hope to have you back again. So.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. Have a fabulous day.
Cheers all.
Thanks, Rob.